This thing is it's going to pay off forever. This guy's going in the Hall of Fame as a Tiger. You know, he's going to hit 3,000 hits, which is going to increase the enthusiasm this summer as well. Miguel Cabrera has earned his contract.
Absolutely.
For what he's done for this organization.
Welcome back, Big D Energy, Woodward Sports Network. Neil Rule, Darren McCarty in amongst the people. I knew this was going to happen, so I had to have backup here as we welcome in Tony Paul from the Detroit News. Remember, go to DetroitNews.com. You can subscribe. People still do read the newspaper, you know.
They do.
Yeah, they give you a check and everything, Tony.
So far, they haven't missed one.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Maybe in here, I might miss the next one. We'll see.
No, but happy to have you with us. And Tony, look, you know, we've done the mix right now, and I do want to get your take on this because you're an old baseball soul, and you know what baseball is in this town. You've known that your entire life. The energy this year, as the kids would say, as my sons would say, Tony, it is hitting different, isn't it?
Oh, it's way different. It's the first time in probably, well, you had the pandemic. Obviously, that took away a lot of it. You know, there was no real opening day in 2020. Last year, there were 8,000 people at the stadium. So you take that out of it. But even just the excitement about the team, it hasn't been this way we're looking at 7-8 years, really. You could go back where, you know, there was really no expectations coming into the year. You look at this year, who knows how they're going to do. Vegas still has them at 78.5, which, by the way, is the third most bet over of all the teams in baseball. So there's a lot of people that believe in this club at least getting to 500 or above. But Vegas still has them down there. It could go either way. We don't know if they're going to contend or fall off. You know, they have bullpen issues. They have a couple other issues. But at least the potential is there for the first time in forever. You got some young kids. If they perform well, you know, Chris Ilitch, love him or hate him, you know, he did spend $250 million this offseason to go get some new talent, fresh talent. So you just look at the lineup, you know, from top to bottom, and it's just night and day different. You have some starting pitching. The bullpen, again, is a concern, but, you know, it's going to be fun to watch. You know, even if they don't make the playoffs, there's going to be reason to watch. It started last year. After the miserable April and early May, they actually were over 500 considerably the rest of the way. It started last year, but now I think you could legitimately expect this team to be on the fringes of contention.
Yeah, and when you look at it too, Tony, you talked about like reasons to watch if it doesn't work out. And look, let's be real. You know this. I know this. The third most bet over in Vegas. ...
Right, exactly.
You know what that means,
well, there's
right?
a reason. I love the over, but there's a reason I don't bet sports. The best people who bet sports, the best of the best, get 53% of their bets right.
Right.
Unless you're a friend of ours who gets 100%. But, you know, I won't bring up the name, but no, that's the thing that has to give you pause. Why is it 78.5? But again, you're going to get to see a full season of Casey Mize. You know, he's got a new windup. He's got a new sinker that's really devastating looking. You get to see Spencer Torkelson. In a month and a half, you're going to get to see Riley Green. You got some new talent in Baez and Austin Meadows. Even Eduardo Rodriguez today, starting pitcher. So even if they don't contend, I think we can all agree that this is the start of baseball being back in Detroit. It's been a long time. Now, you and I lived through the 90s. It hasn't been that long. You know, people are like, oh, they haven't contended since 14. Well, we went through a decade and a half where they never sniffed 60 wins. So, but it's going to be, at least there's going to be reason to watch it. This is the start of baseball being revived in Detroit. And you can feel it around town, not just here, but all over town.
But you can really feel it here.
You can really feel, I almost had a stroke walking in. You really can feel the buzz around town that the fans are ready to enjoy meaningful baseball again well into the summer.
No, and when you look at it from that perspective, Tony, and D-Mac and I'll kind of get down into the weeds and do the geeky baseball stuff here. For me, there are just a lot of signs, like when you talk about how heavily the over is being bet and that kind of stuff. And the Tigers, in my mind, Tony, as I run this by you, they're almost like a 6-leg parlay where every leg needs to hit for them to be a playoff contender. And the reason I say that is because the AL East is still a thing. And if you're a Tigers fan, it's even more a thing now, given the playoffs the way that it's been restructured. Because don't forget, in this year's playoff setup, to make the playoffs last year, you had to win 91 games in the American League. Like, it's not a joke over there. And I know the Blue Jays, and I miss this, like when Jose Barrios became this 23-game winner and everything like that, and you just pencil him in, for the Cy Young and all that stuff. I missed that update with the Blue Jays, but everyone loves them, and that's fine. The Yankees are the Yankees. They're going to make the moves that are needed. The Red Sox are still good, by the way. And, the Tampa Bay Rays are always there, despite the fact that their pitchers pitch 3 innings at a time, despite the fact nobody ever gives them a chance. A lot of stuff has to go right, Tony.
No love for the Baltimore Orioles?
No, we'll pass on them for right now. They moved the fences back, so when you move the fences, that causes problems. No, but Tony, the moral of the story is so many things have to go right for this Tigers team. I think people are losing sight of that.
No, I don't think so. I don't think there's anybody out there that's just like, this team's going to the World Series. I don't think that. I would argue that it's more of a 4-team parlay. I think that there's a little bit better chance. 4 teams, by the way, are still hard to hit. 3 is remarkably easy unless you're playing a 3-team parlay. But I think it's 4. I think there are some things that need to hit. Look, you got bullpen concerns. You got 3 guys that are supposed to be part of your bullpen that are out right now for a couple weeks at least. That could be problematic. They're going to have to weather the storm there. You need Casey Mize to take a step forward. You need Tariq Skubal to take a step forward. You need Matt Manning to be a number 3 or a number 4. And you need Spencer Torkelson and Riley Green to live up to their potential. They don't need to be MVP candidates this year, but they need to contribute. But you look at the lineup, they have a lineup to compete. They also play in the American League Central, which I would still argue, a lot of people are high on the Twins. They're a little high on the Royals. I don't agree. I think the Tigers are probably that number 2 team that can push the White Sox. White Sox clearly are the team in the Central. But if the Tigers, beat up on these teams, who knows? They could get to that 85, 88 win, which with the extra playoff spot might be good enough. It was good enough in the National League last year. It might be good enough this year. Baseball is a weird sport. You don't know how teams are going to do. There's no guarantees. We've had years. I remember the year 2008 or something. The Tigers were going to score 1,000 runs.
Those were great days.
They scored like 692 or something. I mean, you never know how it's going to work out. But they need a few things to go right, but it's there. They needed a few things to go right in 06. And I would argue this team is better equipped than 06. That team caught lightning in a bottle. I think this team probably top to bottom has a little bit more talent. Now, they don't have a Verlander. They don't have, the 3, 4, 5 that team had. But they've got a lot of talent, so we'll see. No one thought 06 was possible. It wouldn't shock me to see this team in the playoffs. I don't think they'll win the division, but they could get in.
All right, let's take a couple questions here from our YouTube channel chat thread. The messages coming in fast and furious. Huge viewership numbers here today.
Huge.
As always, appreciate you guys. Well, people want the vibe. They want the feel. Alex, give them the crowd shot one more time, man.
Seriously.
And I'm sorry I'm producing on the fly, Alex. I know you work with other people that if they did it, you'd be all right.
Stay in your lane, Neil. Stay in your lane.
No, but I absolutely hear. What about this? Jack Harrington says the AL East is like the SEC in college football.
Not quite as dominant, but they're probably the cream of the crop because again you do have the 4 teams, and you know what, the Tigers used to be in the AL East, and there was talk about maybe going back and reshuffling the divisions where the Tigers could have ended up there. So I think the Tigers are very fortunate they are where they are.
What about this here, Tony? And this will spin into a question for me. Lord on our YouTube chat thread. Casey Mize is a man's man. And my question to you about that, Tony, is what about the inning? When we start talking about playoffs, you're talking about high stress in August and September. Are there innings limits? What conversations have you had with those inside the Tigers organization? Is he like a full go, Tariq Skubal? I mean, because this is what it's going to take to win.
Yeah, I think so. I think the kid gloves are off. Last year coming out of the pandemic, obviously everybody was careful with all their pitching. There might be a little spillover with that. But it wasn't just the rookies that people were careful with last year. They were careful with all pitchers because they didn't pitch much in 2020. So you had to be last year. So, combination of their youth and the fact that nobody pitched in 2020. So I think the kid gloves are off. I think these guys are ready to go. I think you could easily see both of those guys touching 200 innings this year if they stay healthy. And if they do pitch 200 innings, I think they're going to be good. And I think that's going to be a good sign for this team. The kid gloves are off.
All right, well, this has become an Ask Tony segment here on the show, which I'm cool with. Makes my job easy. Gets me closer to 1 o'clock. Harley Fife wants to know any injury update on Spencer Turnbull.
He's probably not going to pitch this year, I don't think. He went down in June, had the surgery last summer. Usually it's an 18-month thing where you start to get into it again. So I would be very surprised to see Spencer this year. They obviously like him. I think he'll be ready for opening day next year. They did sign him to the 2-year deal, so they're counting on 2022 or 2023.
Yeah, I like it, though. I like this. Everyone here is doing my job. I love it. Robert, Tony, thoughts on the strikeout rates for Baez and Grossman? They're high.
Yeah, but that's baseball right now. I mean, baseball is it's become a 3-outcome game. It's home run, strikeout, or walk, right? That's kind of the natural outcomes in baseball today. It started a lot with J.D. Martinez. He was one of the first guys that kind of put an emphasis on that. So they're going to be high, but I'll tell you what, people are going to be very, very excited and happy to watch Javi Baez. I know he's not Carlos Correa. They didn't get the guy they wanted, that you wanted, that I thought they should get. But this guy's very, very good. Defensively, he's phenomenal. He's going to strike out, but he's going to make some plays and hit some home runs that are just going to leave you breathless.
No, and Tony, look, like, for me...
They got one of the top 5 shortsups in the game.
No, absolutely they did. And he's fun. Like, I like it because he's fun.
Yeah,
he's going to talk.
Exactly. Can we have a little fun? It's not you'd think with the commissioner of this sport that you wouldn't be allowed to have any fun.
Right.
But no, you are, and he'll bring that level of enthusiasm, kind of like what Pudge brought in 2004 when he came aboard. You're going to see a lot of that with Baez. This guy's very, very good. I don't think people quite understand just how good he is.
Well, we talk about strikeout rates and everything like that, and certainly there is a lot to that, and they will strike out a lot. But you know what else he's going to do? He's going to pick it at shortstop. And the Tigers were awful at the shortstop position defensively last year.
Yeah, they looked like turning double plays. They looked like me and my buddies out playing beer league softball. It was pathetic. I mean, even like Taylor made double plays, they wouldn't even turn them. It was bad. Now you got him up there. You got Jonathan Scope, who's a fine, decent enough second baseman. But up the middle, I mean, you improved this, right? You build your team up the middle, right? You improved your defense tremendously with Tucker Barnhart behind the plate. Eventually, Riley Green will be your center fielder. But, and Derek Hill's going to get some reps out there. He's very good defensively. This team's better defensively, they're better offensively, and the rotation's better. Question: the bullpen. If the bullpen can get you through April, so that these guys can start coming back. The guy they signed, the lefty. A couple other guys are injured. If you can get through April, weather the storm, which they weren't able to do last year, do that this year, and I think this team will be on their way.
And that's one of my points about all this too. Like the stuff that happened in April last year. If you're going to contend, it cannot happen. Like, now you can't qualify for the playoffs in April.
You can lose it,
but you can lose it, and they lost it last year.
Right. It's like that. It's like the Masters, which we both love dearly. At number 12 on Sunday, you can't win the Masters on that hole, but you sure as hell can lose it.
Right.
As Jordan Spieth knows, as Greg Norman knows, as Freddie Couples knows. All these guys know. So that's the same thing. You're right. April, you got to get through it. And hold your head above water. If they can tread, 500 or so in April, I think they'll be all right if they get these bullpen pieces back. That's the only hole that I see on this team. It's the only hole, so we'll see.
Lastly, here's one for me. Tony D. Neil, what do the Tigers need to worry about with the White Sox? I don't think a lot, Tony, because we know what they are. We know what the book is. They're the heavy favorites to win the division. They're probably going to do as such. What I like is the Tigers kind of followed their blueprint for the most part. Now, they had Miguel Cabrera on the books. There was not much you could do about that, which that's part of it. You don't get the Triple Crowns without the contract. That's the way that works. So I'm one of these people, Tony. There will be no Miguel Cabrera slander, not on my watch, because that guy delivered. But with all that being said,
I could do a half hour on that.
Yeah.
I mean, the fans are just so down on him.
Yeah.
This guy.
I'm not having it, Tony.
This guy gave you a decade or more than a decade of some of the best baseball you've ever seen.
He gave you a generation of being the best right-handed hitter in the game.
And by the way, as everyone said, I can't believe they paid him through this year, through next year, this bad contract. No one was bitching about that contract at the time. And number two,
that was the market.
And 50 years from now or 100 years from now, when you and I are gone, long gone, there's going to be Miguel Cabrera jerseys being sold at that Comerica Park or wherever the hell they play shop. This thing is, it's going to pay off forever. This guy's going in the Hall of Fame as a Tiger. He's going to hit 3,000 hits, which is going to increase the enthusiasm this summer as well. So, no, I could go on a tangent about that. Miguel Cabrera has earned his contract,
Absolutely.
For what he's done for this organization.
Tony, I appreciate you sliding through right here.
This is a blast, man.
Where does everybody subscribe to the Detroit News?
You can go to DetroitNews.com. I think you can get, like 5 years for $1 or whatever our special is right now. No, I think you sign up. I think you get 6 months introductory. for $1. People are like, oh, I can't believe I got to pay for this. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, well, we gave you a 25-year trial run. I think you can cough up $1, but
if you're hype about baseball, though,
and if you want the best, I honestly believe this: the best Tiger coverage in town is the Detroit News. I don't think you can get better anywhere. So subscribe. We'll be following this team with the best coverage all year long.
And they cover Detroit City FC unlike another newspaper in the town.
We cover every game of Detroit City FC, and I was supposed to be out there twice this year and haven't made it because of a couple other things that have gone on. But I promise I will be out there and see your booth or where your office is over there.
All right, appreciate it, brother.
Thanks, buddy.
Tony Paul of the Detroit News.